Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. Just for what it's worth, that's the new Ferrari Portofino, the entry-level Ferrari. It's going to be replaced next year by the Ferrari Roma. But if you want one of those, the starting price is $215,000 before optional extras. But if you are MGTOW and you become one of the top 1% high earners, then you'll probably be able to afford one. Anyway, one of the pillars of the MGTOW philosophy, as you know, is you don't cohabit with a woman and you certainly don't marry one. And if you're careful, you don't get that woman that you're with pregnant, otherwise she'll get you for child support up to the child being 18. Now that's going to have a dramatic effect on the US birth rate, as guys don't want to risk losing half of their stuff, and it's starting to have a official recognition that America is in serious trouble when it comes to having children. So looking around, I found this yesterday. As you can see, it's a CBS news network, and it says declining US fertility rates and a romantic reckoning after Me Too. Now this was written on February 14th, i.e. St. Valentine's Day in 2018. Now bear in mind that fourth wave feminism kicked off in 2012. Now any impressionable American girls aged in their teens, i.e. 14, 15 and 16, that join in this movement, how the excitement, etc., will be on 20, 21, 22 years of age now here. Now this is sort of the backlash to them joining the feminist movement and not having children. It says the new research shows a sharp drop in the number of babies born in the US last year. Analysis reported the New York Times found an estimated 3.84 babies were born nationwide in 2017. That's down more than 100,000 from the year before. And one possible culprit, smartphones, according to the Times report Lehman Stone. Now, smartphones and Tinder kicked off in 2012. Tinder started getting really popular in 2015. So there could be a link, as she said, between them. I don't doubt that. I think the worry about the delay of social bonds, generally the lack of kind in-person quality time, i.e. women swiping left, said New York Times investigative reporter and CBS News contributor Jodi Kantor, a lady. I mean, you don't need to be a top psychologist to experience this, right? And then she thinks everybody works in an office. Now it goes down to a lot of questions about the right way to do things and what the rules are, how to proceed a kind of healthy and safe way. There's no mention of women being picky in this article, and there's certainly no mention of MGTOW in this article. I've had women tell me at the end of the dates, guys will say to them, I just want to make sure you are comfortable tonight. I want to make sure you're feeling okay. Which is very sweet, but also depraves a certain nervousness about, am I doing the right thing? In other words, guys being stressed out. Even if he does the right thing, they're complaining about it. Now, as I said, this was done in 2018. Now, you skip forward 3 years and you get this. Will births in the US rebound? Probably not. This was done on May 24th, 2021. And it says recently released US birth rates for 2020, 2 years after the previous article, show that births have been falling almost continuously for more than a decade. Now that could be the result of fourth wave feminism and saying all men are bad and rapists and misogynists and all this nonsense. And this is the reaction that we're getting. Number of births going down because guys are not going to bother getting a woman pregnant and getting into a relationship and having children if they know they're going to lose half the stuff if the woman just gets bored. And then it goes, the total fertility rate calculated from annual birth might be a misleading indicator of actual future fertility rates. I doubt it. It is only an appropriate indicator of the total number of children women will have on average. But then it goes down, blah, blah, blah. And then we got a graph. Now the total peak fertility rates for women when they become adults is 18 to 25. At the stretch they can get to 28. Now after that the wall hits. This is where they're riding the cock carousel. This is where they've had all the fun and they want to settle down with a beta because Chad doesn't want them anymore, but the fertility rate goes down. Now keep an eye on that graph. This is from the British Fertility Society. Monthly fertility rate by age. This is for women and this is for men. See, a woman's fertility rate hits the peak around 30, then it drops like a rock. This is when the wall hits. This is when the women decide they've had all the fun and they want children. But it says, at birth most girls have 2 million eggs of adolescence. That number's gone down to 400,000 at age 37, where they're looking, where have all the good men gone? And they want children and settle down. The eggs are dropping down. They're only around 25,000 eggs by age 51. When women have their menopause, they only have 1,000 eggs left, but these are not fertile. Now, going back to this is where women want children, as I've shown you, and it goes down. You get 40-year-old women. Where have all the good men gone? Men don't want women this age. Men want women this age. And then it goes, mark of the figures, reached cohort, the onset of the Great Recession in 2008. Then it goes, women in 1995, 2000 birth guns were not yet childbearing age at that point. And then it goes, children ever born by mother's birth cohort. And then we have the graph going up to 44. On a personal thing, Mum was 38 when she had me, so Mum was quite lucky to go full term. Women that get pregnant at this age, there's a chance they may not go full term and they might miscarry. And then it goes 1995 births, and then we got graphics and this is red because I had a look at it earlier. The COVID-19 is the convenient excuse for babies not being born. 500,000 fewer children coming. COVID baby bust. This was written June 15th, 2020. Now you skip forward another year. This is from the Pew Research Center, the long-term decline in fertility and what it means for state budgets. Because you see, they're starting to worry now. Number of babies not being born, the state budgets will go down. States with low birth rates and shrinking populations face fiscal risks. In other words, the tax take is not going to be as high as he hoped. And the overview, when the economy takes a downward turn, couples often temporarily put off having children. That's if they are a couple. Remember, MGTOW is don't cohabit, don't marry, and don't produce children. But in the years following the Great Recession, births never rebounded. Well, the Great Recession was 2008. Fourth wave feminism kicked in 2012, so it's understandable. Instead, fertility has largely continued to follow a downward trajectory across the country, falling to a low record in 2020. Now, any girl that was about 12 starting high school, would be reaching fertility in 2020, but she's been indoctrinated with fourth wave feminism ideology, so she's not having children. State budgets have started to feel the effects of this long-term decline. The future course of fertility represents a key source of fiscal uncertainty for states, as smaller working-age populations may eventually threaten tax bases. In other words, there won't be as much money going into the federal government That means the states won't get their handouts. That means things are going to change. Fertility is one of the several democratic pressures states are experiencing. In addition to recent declines in international migration and life expectancy. And then it goes down. Then we have the bullet points. 43 states record their lowest general fertility rate, represents annual births per 1,000 women. Every state except North Dakota experienced losses. The severity of decline over the past decade varies greatly. Well, the past decade has seen the rise of fourth wave feminism and women saying men are all bastards, they're rapists. We don't need no man because we're strong, independent women. So what did they expect? Western states generally experience the most severe fertility rate drop. Arizona and Utah declines more than double. Well, Arizona's had a lot of Hispanics and the housing bubble burst affected that state dramatically. But Utah is a bit of a surprise to me because all the Mormons live there and Mormons usually have a high birth rate. The states are already feeling some effects of low fertility, such as lower school enrollment, but many of the most significant potential hits to tax revenues won't occur for decades. I suspect it'll occur within a decade. And some states are more vulnerable to potential budget pressures than others because of their tax structures, which means California, economies and ability to attract working age residents via migration. And then it goes on. Now we have a graph. Now bear in mind, once again, 2012, which is about here, see a dramatic drop in the birth rate when fourth wave feminism kicked in. Not saying it's all women's fault, but feminism and its ideology do have a contributing factor to this. The North Dakota is the top there, but right at the bottom is the state of Vermont with 44.7. Something bad's going on in Vermont as the population is crashing. And then it goes down, more information. And then wherever state you're in, if you're American listening to this, there's Arizona. And then all the other states with North Dakota at the bottom. North Dakota's had an oil boom, so the economy's perked up, but when that boom starts to peter out, then the birth rate will probably drop. And then look how low fertility will influence budgets. This is what they're worried about. And revenue, low fertility is likely to affect several major revenue streams in the coming decades. And states are experiencing the influx of new residents from other states or abroad, a better position to preserve their tax bases. That's if the new residents have skills that could boost the economy. But if they're unskilled and illiterate, then they're not going to do much good to the American economy, and there'll be a drain because they'll have to either take Social Security or they'll go on low-paid jobs which really won't boost the economy. Plus these low-paid jobs will be in competition with the Native Americans that are there, i.e. the general American population who were born in America. And today low fertility is boosting labour force for participating amongst women, supporting greater state tax income collections. However, because women are having fewer children than women in previous years, eventually there could be fewer workers paying income taxes. Then it goes down, state spending, and then the enrollment across America. California is 9% down of school enrollments, even though there's more women in colleges now. The high schools are 9% down, which will affect jobs, which means mostly women's jobs. Low fertility since the Great Recession could help to limit college enrollment costs in the coming decades. Higher education amounts for nearly 9% of total government expenditure in fiscal year 2021. And then it goes more on certainly state budgets, and then we got the retirement age population. That's the prime. From there to there is the prime fertile age. That's where the wall hits women. Crash, crash, cat ladies, where have all the good men gone, and death. And then it just concludes a historic decline in fertility which touched nearly every area of state budgets in the coming years. Now that's the Pew Research Center. Skip forward to this year. This is Ohio State News, and January 12th this year. Falling birth rate not due to less desire to have children. Young people's concern about future may be delayed parenthood. It says may. Now that is just conjecture. He doesn't say does. He's just guessing. Some people are concerned about America's falling birth rate. New studies suggest young people don't need to be convinced to have more children. In fact, young Americans haven't changed the number of children they intend to have in decades. Then it goes, still the total fertility rate in the United States was 1.17 in 2019, the lowest level since the 1970s. Feminism says you don't need no men. So these guys say, okay, we'll go our own way, and thus the birth rate goes down. Now this lady, Sarah Hayford, says the data of the study can't explain why, but the results fit evidence indicating that young people today don't think now is a good time for them to have children. It's hard to have children in the United States right now, who is also director of Ohio State's Institute of Population Research. People feel more worried about the future than they might have been for several decades. They worry about the economy, childcare, and whether they can afford to have children. No mention that a guy could lose half of what he's got if the wife decides to divorce him and have custody of the children. No mention of the third wave, fourth wave feminism, from third wave feminism that says women don't need no men. So, and there's certainly no mention of men going their own way. And then it just goes down information like the rest of them have said. We need to make it easier for people to have children that they want to have. There are clear barriers to having children in the United States that resolve around economics, around childcare, around health insurance. Again, no mention of the female-friendly family courts. But it all boils down to Americans have a declining population, and they're not going to face the elephant in the room, which means fourth wave feminism and men going their own way and deciding not to bother have children. I might do some more on this if I find any more, but I think I'm way past the 10-minute mark now. So, right people, you know the routine. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe. It's completely up to you. So until next Monday, or I'll find something about Star Wars during the week. That's it for this one. Bye-bye.